you could get Medicaid and you will get a substandard level of health, of doctors and, health assistants and so forth. Yeah, you could get some, if, you can't pay your rent right now during the pandemic, there is some, laws that will not get you evicted and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But when these moratoriums expire and you haven't paid rent for the last year, you're going to get kicked out and you're going to have an eviction on your record. And it's going to be very hard for you to get another apartment or house.
I watched.
Yeah, these are real
Those are problems.
These are real concrete problems without whimsical solutions, like how most rich people could deal with their problems. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like it anymore. It's easy to fit. When you're an Akon, you could really buy away the majority of your problems.
But Akon was a prisoner. So he
was a prisoner at one
different thought process than you and I could ever have.
Yeah.
Because like I was going to say, I was driving down the street the other day and I looked and I saw under a bridge, over a viaduct, I think I was going down, I think it was Laurel Canyon, getting on to the 101.
Mm-hmm.
A guy had a love seat and they had a phone and him and his girl were like this, watching television, homeless. The tent was here. They had a love seat there and I couldn't get my camera out fast enough to take a picture. That they literally are acting like everything outside. The only thing they didn't have was walls.
Right. And a roof.
That was it. They had something over their head, but they didn't have walls. Yeah, and I was like, and they probably had, a hot plate over there to cook. And I'm realizing this is life. When I was in India some years back, I realized that there was 300 million people in the city of New Delhi, and there's 379 million people in America. So I literally was in a city that had all of America in it.
Right.
And the homelessness, and there was urinals and people going to the bathroom, and it took me 2 hours to go 7 miles from the airport to the hotel. And when I got to the hotel, the hotel is called the Taj Mahal. When I got into the Taj Mahal, it was the Taj Mahal. It was, oh, wow, I'm back in America. It was air conditioned. It smelled good. They was giving me food. Mm-hmm. But from the airport to that hotel, I saw life.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been a bunch of third world countries. I've been in Jamaica. I've been to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
I've been South America, various countries in South America. I get it. Like
Jamaica's paradise, though.
Certain parts of Jamaica.
All of it.
Go out into the jungle out there where people are living in huts with no toilet, no running water. That's not paradise there.
I don't know. It's called camping.
I remember I was with my girlfriend at the time. We went to Jamaica. She was going for the first time. And then we went outside the resort and she was like, these are not the Jamaicans I've been seeing in the commercials. Like, this is, I'm scared right now. Like, yo, these Jamaicans are scary looking to me. Like, I'm like, all right, we'll go back to the resort.
I know.
It is what it is. I'm not tripping, but if it bothers you,
Steve Harvey said, if you go to Jamaica, you stay close to the ocean. Don't take your ass up into the mountain.
Yeah.
He said, don't leave campus.
Yeah. I mean, listen, living in LA, when I see these, what I call them tent cities, essentially, because it's not just one or two tents. It'll be like 40 or 50 of them, like literally in an area, like in a parking lot, an abandoned parking lot or something. It's like, God damn, like this to me is just scary that, I mean, on a few levels. Number one, that so many people have just gotten to this point in their life that their day-to-day living is in this tent, along with a whole bunch of other people that are in a similar situation.
It's not getting better.
Yeah. And also it's like, well, can the police or the government do something to help or maybe move these people, into an area that, maybe into a housing situation, but clearly not, because these tents look like these cities have been around. Sometimes they're there for months, if not
30 years they've been having tent city. Since Mayor Reardon, when they had Tent City downtown on 9th Street. Let me tell you, everywhere I go in this country, and outside this country, especially in the Bahamas, people talk about how they see me on Vlad TV. And I realized something in 2002. 2003, I was in Portofino, which is the tip of Italy, right outside of France, in case anybody wants to know. There's always pictures of it. And I rented a car. And the ticket came, I parked the car. Leaving, I took the ticket to check out. In America, there'd be a person standing there to take your ticket, tell you the price, you pay them. In 2003, everything was you take your ticket before you go to your car, you put it in, you put your credit card in, you get it back. That's 2003. Mm-hmm. So obviously I was the dumb American that caused traffic and I had to run back and somebody had to do it for me to show me 2003. Now at the airport, that's at the airport. So those jobs are gone. Elevator operators, gone. Anywhere you can use cash is now cashless. Mm-hmm. They are making more and more people poor. There's going to be more and more people homeless.
Well, I mean.
And why I say that is AI, electronic everything, the eye, you're not going to be able to move freely. There are no jobs.
Well, I don't know.
Okay, you tell me your job.
Okay. Listen, when electricity came around, the guy that would light the torch up and down the street lost his job.
And the candle maker.
Right, and the candle makers.
And the matchmaker.
And the matchmakers. Oh, no, I mean, matches were still around, but just not to the same extent.
And the guy who made the container for it had to now change and figure out, trust me.
I get it.
It's always happened. It was called the Great Depression.
This is just progress. You know, when Fast Track came around, the people that worked at the toll booths, a lot of people lost their jobs.
Yeah.
But you know something? When I started out as a mixtape DJ and I was pressing up CDs and the CDs were going away, my job got hard. So I was making less money every month.
We're making more and more poor people.
You know, so I moved to DVDs. And then same thing started happening with DVDs. And then I moved to YouTube and YouTube took off. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you know, you can't expect a job that you're doing today to be around tomorrow if you're not constantly, you know, planning your future and building up your skill set and looking at potentially this job may go away. What's my next job going to be?
So Akon was right. You got more problems than a poor person.
Well, but I was poor back then.
But you had, right. But you got more problems than a poor person because now you have to every day think about the next thing. A poor person sits back and they may say, hey, I'm hungry. Can you give me some food? Yeah. Hey, I'm thirsty. Can you give me something to drink? Hey, I got nowhere to stay. Can you give me some money to go into this place? They literally situation by situation. And in a way, he's right. That's why I'm telling you, there's more and more people are going to be poor. I said it and then I stopped saying it. Like you and I don't say certain things online now. I don't join into the fray. Mm-hmm. But anybody watching this, you should see the movie Soylent Green. It's an important movie to watch right now because that's where the future is going. It's going to be extra hot. There's going to be no jobs. And the only way you're going to be fed is by the government. And everything that we take for granted now is going to be scarce. I knew this as a vegan that eating meat was no longer going to be sustainable as humans. They're not going to be able to farm this much.
I agree.
None of the fish you get come out of the ocean. Nobody can argue me that unless you go in the ocean and fish it yourself. That is coming from a farm. They're not going to be able to sustain that life. So guess what? There's going to be no jobs unless you have a certain skill set. And the jobs that were not even paid. You and I have these electric cars. These electric cars are being, literally I got a text from the company said, are you going to take your delivery? We are now building your car. And they let me know in 26 days, the car would be built and we would deliver it 4 days after that. They knew exactly to the number when this is coming.
Right.
This is the way the world is moving.
Yeah, but in the same sense that, like, for example, all the, you know, me making CDs, my job started to go away. Then I'd make DVDs and my job went away. But then when YouTube came around, think about how many people support themselves off YouTube right now.
Yeah.
Millions. Yeah. Millions. It created a whole new economy. OnlyFans created a whole new economy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, when they announced they're not doing adult content anymore,
there were strippers outside.
You could feel the shudder from mostly women worldwide. Like, oh no!
Brittany started calling the PJ back. Hey, babe.
Man, listen, I know girls whose life have completely transformed from OnlyFans.
Yes.
They went from driving a Nissan Sentra to a Maserati truck. They went from a Coach bag to a Prada bag.
They went from an A cup to a CC.
Exactly. They could afford all that plastic surgery they wanted.
Yeah.
You know, so these new economies, they sprout up. But the reality is, but this is just progress, and this is just human evolution at the end of the day. Like
smaller
jobs go away, especially manual labor. And but look what happened. You had all these. So yeah, you lost a lot of manual labor jobs along the way. Amazon sprouted up. How many people does Amazon employ? Right. Doing mostly manual labor.
But think about
Postmates. Popped up. Once again, manual labor.
But there's going to be nobody to pay for the labor that they're doing. Let me give you an example. In the 30s, America didn't have, it was mostly agricultural, and 70% of the government of the country was illiterate. Okay. Now we get into the Industrial Revolution, right, is what they needed to call it. So we get into the Industrial Revolution. And what happens? We start making war. We become the war machine. They start making guns and bullets and tanks and planes. Then that didn't go away, but then look what happened. We had to have other jobs. In this situation, everything is going AI. There are no jobs. And if there are no jobs, there's nobody to pay for the stuff that you would have Postmates, Uber deliver. It's getting worse.
I don't know about that. Because at the end of the day, AI still needs people to develop the AI. AI didn't just sprout up on itself.
AI gets better every time it's used.
I understand that. I'm a computer science major from UC Berkeley.
Yeah.
I understand the programming behind these types of systems. Not to say that I program, but I understand, conceptually what goes on with that.
And it's erasing human.
At the end of the day, if you depend on a job based on basic physical labor, there's a good chance that you're going to have very hard times along the way. If you focus on building an actual skill set, a trade, like nurses aren't worried about there's no jobs.
Oh, because
doctors aren't worried about there's no jobs.
They're going to keep making diseases.
Engineers and scientists aren't worried about there's no jobs.
Because they're going to keep making things for them to work with for diseases. This is another thing I was just thinking. A year ago when I started growing my own food, at first, I was like, man, I can't believe I'm doing this. My moms used to do this. It has been the smartest thing.
To grow your own food.
To grow my own food.
Okay.
This is the other thing. If I lived on a place that had a well, I don't know, you might have to do this remotely because I wouldn't let anybody on my property.
Right. Just get your own water.
The future is water. And if I find a piece of property, if I got aquifer under my property and a well, I might not come out of the house.
That's what George Lucas did. He bought 100 acres in San Rafael.
Mm-hmm.
He spent like $100 million.
Yep.
He built his own lake.
Yep.
And all types of shit. He's only developed 10% of it. So he basically has a huge, gigantic plot of land. And he's worth billions of dollars, obviously. But yeah, listen.
Water's the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, but there's always going to be jobs. There's always going to be a demand. There's always going to be new businesses that sprout up. It's not just going to stop with AI running everything and everyone's going to be homeless.
You mean like it is now?
Listen,
I'm telling you, Vlad. I'm telling you, just like I told you, Carmelo was going to play with LeBron and the Lakers. I may not happen when I say it, but I'm always on time. I knew this was going to happen.
All right.